Hey guys, jumping back on here a little bit early because as I stated earlier, I knew they were going to have a verdict, and it seems like they, in fact, have reached a verdict. I don't know if they're going to get into it today or if they're going to go ahead and give the verdict right now. But let's kind of watch what's going on here. As the verdict is unfolding here, they have definitely reached a verdict. Let's get into it.
Lives in Manhattan. He has a PhD. They said that he was unable to understand the judge's instructions, and the judge said, get back to deliberations. It is your duty. They were sent back to the jury room. It seems like they did make some headway, of course. We did see them send several other notes since then. In total, 6 notes, including this one announcing that they do have a partial verdict, Alex.
Well, and Rena, right now, do we know if the jury is going to continue deliberating today or if they're going to decide to call it a day and reconvene tomorrow?
Well, right now, that is still up in the air. It seems like they are still trying to figure out the next steps here. We know that both sides do want them to continue deliberating, and the judge plans to tell them to do so. The jury sent a note saying that there are unpersuadable opinions on both sides when it comes to this RICO charge. So we are standing by out here waiting to see how this all unfolds, whether they'll stay here tonight or whether they'll be right back here tomorrow morning, as they have been for more than 6 weeks at this point, Alex.
Okay, Rena, if you can, I'd love for you to stick with us. I want to bring in ABC News legal contributor in.
Okay, let me give y'all a quick update. I knew they were going to have a verdict, so they have reached a partial verdict. The reason why it's a partial verdict is because they are not agreeing on every last one of the charges. So essentially, they have agreed on a verdict. However, with regards to the RICO charge, they are not able to, come up with a consensus. So at this point, they have not announced the verdict because they're trying to see if they can at least get through that last charge. So let's kind of get into what they are saying, what's going on here. So let's kind of get into it. All right, y'all, give me a second. Okay. So the juror said about 20 minutes ago that they had reached a verdict on some of the counts. Okay. A federal jury has reached a verdict in the racketeering and sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs, the hip hop mogul accused of operating a criminal enterprise that coerced women into SA encounters with other men, also known as freak-offs. The jury sent a note saying they reached a verdict on counts 2, 3, 4, and 5, but they are unable to reach a verdict on count 1, which is the racketeering and conspiracy charges. And y'all, that's the one that actually carries life. So they are not able to come up with an actual, they're not agreeing. So we don't know what the verdict is. Keep in mind, they have multiple charges. So what they're saying is they have reached verdicts on all of the charges except for one. They have not told us what it is, but on that one count, which is the racketeering and the conspiracy one, is one that they have not actually been able to kind of, come up with an agreement. So basically what they're saying is they are not agreeing on that charge. Now, Combs, 55, is charged with 5 counts, 1 count of racketeering conspiracy and 2 counts each of SA trafficking and transportation to engage in prostitution. If found guilty of the most serious charges, he could face life in prison. So as I said, they sent that note, say, listen, we cannot agree. So what they have been instructed to do, both the prosecution as well as the defense, they want the judge to push the jury to continue to deliberate. Sean Diddy Combs, his attorney, Mark, said the defense would like the judge to bring out the jury to instruct them to continue to deliberate rather than sending them a note. They are going to work on the wording of the instruction. So this is what we have. Here's a count by count remainder of the charges against Combs. Now, jurors in the SA trafficking and racketeering conspiracy trial of Sean Diddy Combs have notified the court that they have reached a verdict on counts 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let me tell you what count 2 is. Count 2 is the SA trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. I can never say that word. Now, this pertains to Cassie, okay? They've reached a verdict on count 3, which is transportation to engage in, sex work, right? This pertains to Cassie and commercial workers, okay? Count 4, SA trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. This is for victim 2, Jane Doe. Okay. Now, count 5 is transportation as well to engage in, SA. This also pertains to Jane Doe as well as commercial workers. Now, the one, guys, that they cannot reach a verdict on is count 1. Now, if y'all know, count 1 is the one that holds the life in prison. If y'all know, if you recall, this is the RICO charge. So we don't know what the verdict is. Keep in mind, guys, there's 2, alleged victims. We got Cassie and then we got Jane Doe. So Jane Doe's testimony, to me, how she testified, we don't know if they found him guilty of that. They could have. Judging from what I've been hearing a lot of people say, it will probably be more likely that he would probably be found guilty of Cassie's versus a lady that has been out here just doing this stuff willy-nilly with all type of people, but who knows? So they have definitely reached a verdict. They have not read it because they're trying to come up with a consensus. Now, the one that they have not reached a verdict on is the one that carries the heaviest penalty with a maximum sentence of life in prison. So they are not able to come up with a consensus on count 1, which means they're not agreeing on that. So that's actually a good thing for the defense, because if they can't agree on it, he's going to either be not guilty or, they may have to retry him. Now, counts 2, which is the SA trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, is for Cassie. That count, which is 2 and 4, carries a maximum of 15 years. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Count 2 and 4. Count 2 is SA trafficking by force for Cassie. Count 4 is SA trafficking for Jane. Now, 2 and 4 have a minimum sentence of 15 years with a maximum sentence of life. Okay. Now, counts 3, which is the transportation for Cassie, the transportation for Jane Doe, they carry about 10 years. Now, both the prosecution and the defense have indicated that they want the judge to push the jury to continue deliberating. Now, Combs' defense attorney, Mark, said that the defense prefers the judge bring the jury out to instruct them in person rather than to continue to send these damn notes. They want this to be over. Pretty much, if they can't come up with a verdict, is it not guilty? What is it? They want y'all to finish this thing right now. So let's see what's going on. Now, so what is going on is the judge is now addressing both sides' proposals. The judge is back on the bench now, addressing both the prosecutors and defense attorneys' proposals on how to move forward. The government has asked for a modified Allen charge. What? The prosecution is playing games. The defense said it's too early for that, and they seem to want more gentle language. An Allen charge is a set of instructions that asks jurors to re-examine their own views and opinions in order to reach a decision. Well, okay. Now, the judge says simply telling the jury to keep deliberating would be non-responsive. So the judge, he doesn't seem like he wants to do that. So Judge Zebranium said with the lawyers. They are discussing how they should respond to the jury's note. Keep in mind, the jury said, listen, we cannot come up with a verdict. So they're unable to reach a verdict. Okay. They've reached a verdict on all but one charge. And I told y'all that they gonna reach a verdict soon. Them people ready to get out of there and back to their regular lives. Okay. The judge said there's not much there in response to the defense team's proposed instruction. He said simply telling the jury to keep deliberating is just not going to work. So, of course, the defense is like, tell them to keep deliberating. The judge is like, no, that's not very responsive. We need to give them some more guidance. Okay. So, Mark Agnifilo said he thinks the jury has been productive and efficient, so they don't need much encouragement to continue deliberating. Mark, like, look, let them do what they were sent to do. Pretty much, they came up with a verdict for all the charges but one. Put them back in a room and let them continue. I get that. He doesn't want them to get too much of anything. I mean, if they come up with a verdict based on, this so far, let them continue. Now, the judge said the government's proposal isn't really an Allen charge, but essentially reiterates the section of the jury instructions regarding the duty to deliberate. So an Allen charge, again, is a set of instructions that asks the jury to basically re-examine your own views in order to reach a decision. So you can kind of take yourself and put yourself in a situation and be like, okay, so what would this mean to me? Or what would I do? Now, the judge says he intends to tell the jury, I ask that you keep deliberating. So what they want to do is be very light in this situation. They don't want to steer them one way or another. Keep in mind, if it's guilty, they will be appealing. So we already know that. So the judge wants to make sure that, they're not saying anything that will potentially sway them in one way or the other. So that is pretty much what the judge is. I guess that's what they're saying they're going to do. Let the jury know, keep it going. Okay. So now they're saying about 1 minute ago, the jury has entered the courtroom and the judge is instructing them as to the note that they sent, basically to, continue to deliberate. And it's pretty deliberate. What y'all saying? He's guilty. Well, see, this the thing, Sonia. He wasn't charged with abuse. So, I mean, he got to be guilty of more than abusing because he wasn't charged of that. So, I mean, if he was being charged with abusing Cassie, I mean, that would be easy because we saw the video. So unfortunately, he hasn't been charged with that, which is, pretty much what everybody's been saying. Like, hey, why didn't he get charged with that? Well, one of the reasons he didn't get charged with abusing Cassie is because that was so many years ago. They wouldn't be able to convict him. He is not guilty. It was a party. They choose to go there. Right, Angela? Listen, hey, girl, listen. It's a lot going on. I'm with you on that. It is so much that can be said with regards to this trial. Honestly, I feel like everything with regards to Jane Doe need to be throughout because Jane lied too much. What is Diddy charged for? Okay, Mary Jane's baby. You said, what is he charged for? Well, they have not told us, Mary Jane, what the actual verdict is. However, they said they have reached a verdict on all charges but one. So we know that with regards to the RICO charge, they have not reached a verdict. What they're saying is we're all over the place. We got some people that say yes. We have some people that say no. Now, if y'all know how it works in federal court, everybody has to say yay or nay. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much how it has to go. So everybody has to agree or disagree. Otherwise, it's hung. See, that's kind of how it goes. I will find him not guilty on all charges. Hey, Direct Nursing say, I will find him not guilty on all charges. Mimi said not guilty. Listen, based on what I heard, if I was on the jury, let's look at the charges, y'all. Let's look at the charges. Let's look at the charges. Wait, we got one update. Let's see here. Okay, so the judge, that's exactly what he said. He told the jury, hey, I received your note that you have reached verdicts on counts 2 through 5, but not on count 1. I ask at this time that you keep deliberating. So that is exactly what the judge has said. So if we look at Diddy charges, I'm going to show y'all this. Let's get into his charges. Let's get into Diddy charges. Let's get into, oh boy, what's going on with my screen? Okay, so y'all, if we get into his charges, let me kind of show y'all. So this is what he's charged with, okay? He got count 1, racketeering and conspiracy. Count 2, SA trafficking. Now, keep in mind, count 2 is SA trafficking of Cassie. Count 3 is transportation of Cassie and commercial S workers. Then 4 and 5 pertains to SA trafficking of Jane and transportation of Jane. So here's my deal. I didn't watch this case every single day, but what I can say about some of the things that I watched, Jane Doe needs to go. I'm not even sure why she was there. It seemed like Jane Doe actually helped the defense more than anything. So I don't know about count 4 and 5. Count 1 is the one that they are not able to really come up with an agreement on. So it looks like all of the others, they have arrived at a at some kind of, resolution. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Instruct him to walk on water. If he can't do that, he's free to go home. If Diddy is found not guilty, I'll have to get my mama. She's girl, only not $5 whole. $5 whole. Listen, I don't know. I don't know. We don't know, y'all. We don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. Diddy is worse than R. Kelly. How is Diddy worse than R. Kelly when R. Kelly allegedly was messing with kids? Now, I have to disagree. I mean, kids, now, they was saying it was kids, but they were lying, because if there were kids, then we would see them in this trial. So I don't know about anybody being worse than R. Kelly when they say R. Kelly was messing with kids. So, girl, I got to disagree. Y'all quite dumb to think he's gonna walk. Listen, okay, Nola, let me kind of explain to you what we don't do here is we don't disrespect people. So I'm gonna have to put you in timeout. Don't come over in my chat calling nobody dumb. If you are ignorant and you don't know how to talk to people, then you have to leave here, honey. Okay, so I'm gonna have to get you out of here. Yeah, you cannot come in my chat calling people dumb. You have to talk to your kids and your family like that. Don't come on here disrespecting people. If you don't know how to communicate, go somewhere else. Everybody is entitled to their opinions, okay? We're not going to come over here disrespecting people, call them dumb. Yes, they were lying. Nothing about kids. Yeah, exactly. So I can't say that he worse than, R. Kelly. Hi, Keisha. But I feel he has a good chance of getting found out. I do too, but let me tell you one thing, Shani. I was looking at the background of this jury. We got a lot of married people on here, and they think a little bit different. So listen, based on what I heard, I would say not guilty, but I'm not on the jury, and I feel like people think differently. I also feel like people just don't like Diddy. Like, I feel like a lot of people don't care about the case. They feel like, I saw that video, he did this to Cassie, he needs to get life. But I wonder how would they feel if it was like their cousin or their son. So I really don't feel like people really care. I feel like they absolutely hate Diddy, which is crazy because you got people that never met the man that hate him. I'm not even giving anybody that much energy. So we got to see. I don't know. And in all honesty, if you look at what they are categorizing as a crime, they may just say guilty on some of these charges, which is crazy because, people get sex workers all the time to sleep with them. But the fact that they said that Diddy used his American Express to pay for these people to come over here, they said that is the crime right there. I didn't know that. I didn't know. Listen, so with that, they may just be like guilty. So I have no idea. I don't know how this is gonna go. I'm just gonna be honest. You said I like Diddy, but SA is a crime. Yeah, it is a crime. It most definitely is a crime. And if I were perfectly honest, based on the states, not the states, the government's definition, it seemed like he would be convicted of the workers coming over, but I don't know about the trafficking. I just don't get that, because when they testified on the stand, I know Cassie said that the video where he jumped on her was her being forced to do a freak off. I'm gonna tell y'all why I don't believe it. Because the government has got each and every sex worker to come to court. Where is the worker that was in the room when she said during that time he was forcing her to do it? Where is that worker? So why was there no worker to come and corroborate her story? I don't believe that. I believe that they had gotten into it, but I just don't believe that. I believe bits and pieces, and let me just tell you why. Because from what I watched, these women was lying too. Do y'all remember when I think it was Mia said that he dangled her in the air? She said this, but then they said, okay, can he be in two places at one time? Come to find out, the girl lied. The day that she said that he supposedly did all of this to her, which she swore that it happened, he was actually at an event which they had proof that he was not even where she said. So I'm sorry, some of this shit ain't adding up. I know a lot of people hate, Diddy, and y'all gonna believe what somebody say even if they lie. I just don't. So it's some inconsistencies to the story. It definitely was some inconsistencies. Right. Listen, Adrian, the girls need to take accountability. Now, this is what I feel like the government missed. I think they missed the exact instances when they said they were forced. It was pretty much like, okay, I wanted to do it, but I didn't want to do it all the way, always. So what specific time were you forced to do it that you didn't want to do it? And now I had a problem with that, because if somebody forced you to do something, why you don't remember the date? Something just don't add up. I feel like, in all honesty, that Diddy definitely used his money to his advantage. But guess what? Unfortunately, people, because they want the money, they would allow you to treat them any kind of way. And I feel like because he had that money, they were willing to do whatever. They were willing to do whatever, because even in Cassie's situation, she said that Diddy ordered her. Okay. Now, she said he ordered her, but here's the deal. The time that she said that this happened, this was during a time where her now husband called her and she happened to be having sex with Diddy. And then she said that that time was a time that he ordered her, but yet and still you went back to him days later, or what is it, weeks or whatever, and went and had sex with him again. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't get it. Something ain't adding up. Nobody is gonna arm me and then I'm gonna go back and have it like, what is that? Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna remember it. I'm gonna remember it. I'm gonna remember it. Yeah, I'm gonna remember it. Yeah, when you lying, you don't remember it because it's just been too many lies. Then her friend says he held her over the balcony, but she don't remember that either because she testified, asked several times. She knows the date, but then they say, well, you know what, girl? He wasn't there. So now she looking stupid. They told some truth with some lies. What was the verdict? So they did not read the verdict yet. Jazzy P News, they said they have reached the verdict, but they are struggling on one of the counts, which is the big count, which is the RICO. So the judge has instructed them to go back and deliberate, and because they want them to reach a verdict on all the charges. So they didn't tell us what it is. Right, Jackie. That's all I'm saying. They all was guilty. They all was guilty. Some took plea deals. They all was guilty. And listen, I don't know if y'all ever been broke before, because I have. And listen, the Negroes get broke, they start thinking about all kind of stuff. So I just, yeah, it's just too much here. These women took no accountability, none. Okay. I think the prosecutor wanted to taint the jury because they have enough real ish to charge him with. It was no need, fired the lot. Yes, that's all I'm saying, girl. Because listen, when you start lying, I start second guess. I feel like and that's where they miss me with these lies. Like, I'm not saying that Diddy is no perfect person. I'm not even saying that, he didn't do some of this stuff they saying, but I feel like they mixed some truth with some lies, and it was just losing me. You're losing me right here. Wants to have an engage. Okay, what you say? I'm saying, so if a woman wants to have to engage in sexual favors as well, but can't afford to fly to him and he pays for the ticket, girl, okay, that's exactly what it means, I guess. I don't know. This is crazy. That's now, you feel me? I guess that's exactly what it's saying. But what Diddy's attorneys were saying is that he was paying for their time. You know what, Jazzy P. Jones News, I think they overcharged him too. I mean, sending a man to jail for the rest of his life. I mean, they had me thinking the man had been locking him up, chaining him up. I don't think this is it. And even when you listen to these women, there would be no way that a man could arm me and do all these things to me and I still want to be with him. Jane Doe still wanted to be with him. Mia still wanted to be with him. These women is weird. 16. Tell you everything about room. So listen, that's all I'm saying. I'm a G survivor and it happened at 16. I am so sorry to hear that. But I can tell you everything about room it happened in. Listen. I mean, I'm just trying to get some clarity on this stuff. Mary Jane said Diddy's release will be menacing because he's out for revenge. Y'all, listen, y'all know what I heard though? I heard that one of those SEX workers is going to be suing Cassie in a few days. Now, I got to say allegedly, but that's what I heard. So if y'all hear that, that's what I heard. I heard that Cassie is going to be sued within the next, I don't know, soon. She gonna be sued by one of them SEX workers. The story is not adding up. Yeah, it's a lot going on. We know a lot of people in the same predicament. That's all I'm saying. I know a lot of people in the same predicament. That's why I'm just like, yeah. I do feel like he did do some things, but I just feel like they did a horrible job with proving it. Because when you get up on the stand and tell us how you loved him and how, yeah, I wanted to do it sometimes. Okay, so if he forced you, when did he force you? I want to tell us the date, what was going on. But to say he forced you, but you're not telling us the date is crazy. Like, I'm just like, huh? If you are mentally abused and fearful of retribution, your mind becomes so confused. Listen, so this is how I feel. And y'all tell me if I'm wrong. I don't think every DV situation is the same. It seems like they are all different. Right. Let's not forget, Cassie was extorting Diddy before all of this went down. And here's my deal. I get it, sue him, but if it was me, I'm putting you in jail first, okay? Because you need to go to jail. I wouldn't even think about the money. Like, I would not even be. So it's just the role of everybody. She sued him, her friend sued. And then it's like the friend is saying he a'd her, but then Diddy has text messages where he's telling her, if you do whatever, I'm going to tell Cassie. So what would Diddy be telling Cassie? That he a'd her? That doesn't make any sense. So it's just a lot of inconsistencies in these stories. Like, it's just a lot of stuff that's just not adding up. So y'all gonna send this man to jail for the rest of his life for something that is just not adding up. I'm just not, with, putting somebody in prison for the rest of their life. Now, if he was, chaining them up and doing all that, lock his ass up. But I just don't feel that. The violation of a woman is horrible all by itself. So lies are not needed. It's not. Tell it like it is. Even if she would have said he did it and just not know the dates, it just seemed like they were really trying to come up with something. It just to me, it seemed inauthentic. It seemed very inauthentic. And then Mia, his defense pretty much brought this out. She never said he a'd her all of that time that she had met with the prosecution until months later. So how is it that somebody a'd you, but you just decided to remember it? Like this. Yeah, it's a lot of holes in this story. But here's the deal, y'all. Here's the bad part of this. Even with the holes in this story, I feel like he could still very well be convicted and found not guilty, simply because whenever it's a woman, especially when it's one that don't look like us, and then it's a black man with a lot of money, yeah, the stakes go against him. So I feel like he most definitely can still be convicted, even if there's inconsistencies in the story. I just feel like, even with everything that we saw, he can definitely still go to prison. Right. That's what I'm saying. I don't understand how, when I listened to their testimony, I saw women that were hurt. That's what I saw. Well, here's the deal, Sonia Gemini. I watched one of Diddy's ex-friends say that he was with them during a shopping spree. Listen, a $500,000 shopping spree. Imagine trying to get back to your regular life. You ain't gonna even make 500,000, so you ain't gonna ever be able to live that life again. So I definitely believe it was money motivated, and also I later found out a lot of people have been saying that Diddy paid Cassie. Y'all, that is not true. That is not true. So what ended up happening is Cassie sued his companies. His companies settled. When you have companies, because I know I used to have a school, you have to get different insurance. So what ended up happening is they paid out on those policies. So I originally thought that Diddy gave Cassie 20 million. He did not. His insurance paid out on that. So while everybody is running with this narrative, Diddy settled, no, he didn't. His company's insurance policy settled. So he did not settle. His companies paid for that. When you have organizations or companies, you are mandated to have different levels of insurance. I had children. We had to have all type of insurance, every type of insurance that you can think of. So, people are saying, did he pay her? He actually didn't. His insurance did. Right, Jackie. They are all guilty. He is not the only one. Right. But my thing is, this is just how I feel, regardless of how nasty what they were doing, because it definitely was nasty. I feel like people can pick however they want. That's their business. So, in all honesty, I was over hearing about that. I was more so wanting to hear about the force. And the only force that they told us about was, I felt like if I did it, this would happen to me. And I'm like, well, that's not enough. Like, you have to really be hurt, or somebody has to say, if you do it, if you don't do it, I'm going to do this to you, or I'm going to do that to you. And I didn't see that, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. So let's see what else they're saying here. Oh, they're still saying the same thing, partial verdict. So maybe they'll let the release the verdict tomorrow, because like I said, they have everything with the exception of one. I don't know, y'all. I really can't tell y'all what it's gonna be. I do feel like there will be some guilties and also some not guilties. I just feel like that. I also feel like the charges for Cassie would probably stick more than Jane Doe, because Jane Doe was a hot mess. Jane Doe was a mess. Okay, let me see what you're saying. When it comes to women, too much emphasis was put in. They should have worked about the other ish, because that would have got a verdict. When it comes to the women, too much emphasis was put in. Well, they did put a lot of emphasis on the what am I trying to say? The physical abuse. And I believe the physical abuse was so overly emphasized because the prosecution wanted everybody to understand that, hey, they did this because they feared getting beat up. Well, the issue with Jane is she was the one that was abusive. They never really got into a fight. She was the one that was trying to abuse him. And in fact, several times she had hit him, and his defense was thinking that she was probably trying to do that because she had read about what had transpired between him and Cassie, and possibly she was going to try to sue him. But of course, she said that she wasn't going to try to sue him. Now, with Cassie, the big thing with her, y'all know, was that tape. I mean, that tape, we can never get that out of our head. Jane Doe just wants to make sure her rent, exactly, and her lawyer fees. Jane Doe was a hoe. I mean, you just cannot even get over that. That's what Jane Doe was. My question is, why aren't the men who slept with Cassie and Jane being charged with, exactly, right? If it's all about the law, why not come for the actual, exactly? That's what I'm saying. They charging Diddy like they was working for him. Originally, I thought that this case was going to be something else, but I mean, they want Diddy bad. It's open season on the black man of status because they feel we're getting too much power and they can't have that. We might wake up, get together, and take what's rightfully ours. Right. That's what I'm saying. I mean, they act like the SEX workers was working for Diddy. I think it was really overkill, overcharging. But y'all know the state of New York been trying to get Diddy for some time. If y'all recall, he allegedly pow-powed the woman in the face, and he kind of walked on that. So I kind of feel like they've been trying to get him since then. But here's the deal. If Diddy is found not guilty, I don't know. I mean, he'll figure something else out. But if, as far as his public perception, ain't nobody messing with him. It's over. They are from an right, right. Is that okay? Let me see. Adrian said wait a minute. What did you say? Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Trey said they are not SEX workers. They are from an agency. So is it different when you're from an agency? Like, I mean, I guess. And you know what? That is actually true. Why are they from an agency, but Diddy is getting charged? They working for a whole organization. That's crazy. That is crazy. They are from an agency, which is crazy. Why isn't Cassie's husband in this? Because he saw this isn't, she went through and did nothing but marry her. I think he's the one that got her to sue. A lot of people are saying that. So a lot of people are saying that. And also what we realized, or somebody put it in the chat from my earlier live, is that, because I was wondering, during the time that video came out where Diddy, he was dragging Cassie or whatnot, Cassie had said that that was domestic violence. Now, what we're learning is that possibly Cassie had went to some kind of center, and she was, in therapy, and she realized at that time that what that was, sex trafficking. So who knows? Says she is bringing charges against Diddy because she said Diddy shit her. Oh, you said, I don't know what lady you're talking about. LOL, right? Is it different because they are from an agency? So why isn't the owner of the agency being charged for pimping out his answers? Yeah, I don't know. It's it's crazy to call this a RICO charge, but nobody else is charged. So they're having a deal with that RICO charge. So I don't know if they're going to get a verdict on that. I don't know if they're going to get a verdict on that. We got to see. Not a legal SEX agency. Yeah, how is that not illegal? So this is what we learned from the case. The agency said the people that they sent out are not sent out to have SEX. They are sent to have to do, conversation or whatever. So they said their people are not supposed to do that. We know that's a lie. Come on now. That's exactly what they're doing. You said because they are licensed agency, you heard them say on the stand they do parties. Right. So what they said is that they're not supposed to have SEX. That's pretty much what they said. So essentially the agency is saying, we didn't know those people were doing that. That's pretty much what they said. They did not know that those people was doing that. So yeah. So they're lying. I mean, come on now. You didn't know those people was doing that. As his lawyer said in closing argument, we can all sleep well since they got all the baby oil off the streets. He said that. So Latrice, they have the verdict. They have not read it. So they have a verdict on all of the counts except one. So that's why you haven't heard them release it, because they're pretty much saying they have a hung jury with the first charge, which is the one that he can potentially spend life if he was convicted, but they're not able to find a verdict on that. So what the judge has asked them to do is continue to deliberate. So hopefully they'll deliberate and come up with, see if, what they're going to do with that charge. Oh, they gone. Okay. Jury went home for the day and we'll be back tomorrow. It's not against the law to have SEX in the privacy of their home. What people do is their business, period. Right. Exactly. I agree. Okay. So looks like, let's see what they saying. Oh, yep. Yeah, that's what it's saying. So the jury sends a note that it has completed their deliberations for the day and will continue tomorrow at 9 a.m. So they are done for the day. They did not reach the verdict on that last count. So they are dismissed. They are leaving. Now they're saying that Combs whispers to his children and tells his mother, "I'll be all right. Love you." So we gonna be back here, y'all, at 9 a.m. tomorrow, because it looks like they done slipped out, and they'll be back tomorrow. You said they knew Lakeysha. Ain't no way they didn't know about the exactly right. Yeah, they knew. Thank you, Toria. Yep, I checked. It definitely said they went home, but I think they're gonna have a verdict tomorrow. Jail is supposed to prevent future crimes. Exactly. Putting Diddy in jail would not prevent all of the crimes that were happening for continuing. Yes, exactly. Well, here's the deal. Diddy, this was a witch hunt. They just wanted to put this man in jail. I mean, it is what it is. They did, because first of all, he's been sued. Like you said, jail is really supposed to prevent somebody from, doing further crimes. This would not help him. In fact, it would be devastating. I mean, his children, especially the girls and, his son, their mother is deceased, but I don't think they care. And that's what I was saying about this case. I feel a lot of people just don't like Diddy. They just don't. I mean, even if you watch some of the comments, some of the stuff people are saying, I'm just like, y'all, this don't have shit to do with the case. Y'all saying he a horrible person. Now, granted, he probably is, but y'all want somebody to go to jail for the rest of their life because they're a horrible person? Exactly. Where are the children they lied to us about? I feel like this entire campaign about children and all of these lies was put out by the government to try to make him look like a predator, because y'all know damn well it was no children, because if it was, you would have definitely, they would have been talking about them. So I think a lot of this was put out by the government. I just really feel like a lot of these lies were put out by the government. Right. Yeah. So listen, if they convict him on that, all the women that was a part of every other celebrity freak off, y'all better move out the country, because they coming for your ass. They coming for you. Diddy, it's taking Clive Davis' place in the case because he's the real devil. That's what they say. Okay, so the verdict, what they have stated about the verdict is they have reached a verdict in all the counts except for one. They have not told us what the verdict is because they still need to reach it in that one. So the jury sent a note to the court basically saying that, listen, we've reached a verdict. However, we cannot reach a verdict in this last count, which is the one that he can potentially go to jail for the rest of his life. So if they cannot reach a verdict, the judge is like, listen, y'all have to continue to deliberate, because what they want is a guilty or not guilty. So they don't want it to be split like this, because it's pretty hung then. If that's the case, then they have to try it all over. So will they try it all over? We don't know. So they have to continue to deliberate. It looks like they've gone home for now, and then they'll come back tomorrow. But I'm pretty sure that they're going to have a conviction tomorrow. Well, I shouldn't say a conviction, either a not guilty or a guilty, right? I don't necessarily care for Diddy. I love the music though. This is a witch hunt and he shouldn't have to go through this. I don't either. I'm with you, Dr. Lori's Lux Life. I don't really care for Diddy like that either. But I'm about fair. I don't think you can say, oh, this is a horrible person, or he took all his artist money, or, he probably, had Biggie deleted. I mean, all of that, like, we got to deal with what is going on now and what does the facts say. A lot of people like, oh, F Diddy, he a horrible person. So hey, I think this was overkill. You said, oh, I just saw a post that said hung jury. I knew it was a lie. Well, so maybe when they said hung jury, they were meaning that one charge, because on one of the charges, they actually cannot agree. So essentially, it would be a hung jury, but the judge said, nope, go back in there and figure it out. So essentially, they gonna have to come to a guilty, not guilty. That's what they want, because a hung jury just means that he's gonna get charged again. They don't want that. Right, because this man has been in jail. Like, come on. And here's another thing, y'all, I think was totally unfair. Let the man out on bail. Like, you've let every other person that had crime similar to his, they were able to get out on bail. Why lock him up like a dog? So again, they out Diddy. They just don't like Diddy. These people don't like Diddy. Yes, the government is all through this, which is why Donald Trump didn't pardon him. Okay. If it's a hung jury, I pray they don't retry him. Shawnee, if they do, he will win because the witnesses are not coming back to face that again. Yes, I think if it's a hung jury, I don't believe they're going to try him again, because if they do, the disadvantage to a hung jury is everything has played out already in court. They have the transcripts. So you better remember what you said. And now the defense know what you're going to say. So I believe if it's a hung jury, they'll just let it go, because there's no way. They would be dumb to try it again, because they're gonna lose. So we have to see. We have to see. We have to see. But what are y'all thinking in terms of um charges? I feel like if he's convicted, it would be of the Cassie stuff and not the Jane. I think if he were convicted, I believe it would be of the Cassie stuff. And let me just tell y'all why. Because earlier the jury sent a note. They never said anything about Jane Doe's testimony. They never asked for any clarification, which makes me believe they probably said he was not guilty on the Jane Doe stuff. Now, when it came to Cassie, they wanted to see the transcripts as it related to that hotel video. So what that leads me to believe is they want to look through Cassie's statement to make sure that this was something that they can either say guilty or not guilty. But it's very interesting that Jane Doe name never came up. And, essentially from what I watched or heard and read with regards to Jane Doe to me helped the prosecution. I'm sorry, the defense. Right. I don't think they're going to retry him. So if he is, a hung jury, I don't think so. What y'all saying? How is he getting distribution when the people were taking it? Oh, that's a good one. Now, this is what I learned. Good question. So according to the definition of distribution, now I learned this with this case. Distribution, it doesn't matter if the person wanted it. So distribution is simply, let's say I got the drugs. I got it. And you say, give me the D, give me the drugs. And I say, here you go. That is actually distribution. Now, isn't that crazy? I would have never known that. And the reason why I know that it is because they sent a note specifically with regards to that. And in the instructions, what the court did is that it directed the jury as to where they can find the answer, but it also listed what the answer was. The answer said that it did not matter if the person asked for it. And I was like, damn, that's messed up. That's messed up. So the person could actually ask for it. Isn't that crazy? And guess what? I thought distribution was selling it. It said that you don't have to sell it. So when I, heard of people being charged of that, I thought, okay, they're selling it. No, as it relates to federal. Now I don't know about state, but as it relates to federal, no, they can simply ask for it. And I said, that's messed up because it's looking like he probably gonna get found guilty of that too. Isn't that crazy? Hell, the prosecution was on the defense side. So they are using the isolated hotel incident to say that he trafficked her for that one occasion. Well, this is what I feel. I feel like I feel like with the Jane Doe stuff, I think it's going to be not guilty. I just feel like Jane Doe presented herself horribly. It was found out that she had been doing freak offs with other people. So I just feel like she just wasn't a credible witness. I feel like she absolutely was not a credible witness. Now, what we learned earlier in my earlier video is when they asked for the video with regards to the Cassie situation, they specifically wanted the testimony of that first worker. Now, I just remember this because we researched it earlier. Now, that first worker said that he felt threatened by Diddy. He said that he saw Diddy jump on Cassie, and it made it seem like, it could have made it seem like maybe it was some force involved. So the jury specifically asked for that. And I'm like, y'all, this is looking like maybe they're asking for that because they want to look at that specifically before they decide on what the charge is going to be, which is very interesting because They didn't ask for no transcripts, which regards to Jane Doe. So it kind of leads you to believe that the Jane Doe charges are probably going to be not guilty. But in terms of the trafficking of Cassie, first of all, y'all got to understand, Cassie said that, hey, the video y'all saw, that was me trying to leave. That's what she said. Now we got the S worker that's saying, well, wait a minute. I saw him beat her up in another room. And, and this was during the time we was getting ready to, get our groove on. So I thought that was kind of interesting that the jury asked for that. Right. Oh, absolutely she was. Absolutely she was. Absolutely. And as I said earlier, it seems like when it comes to women that ain't Black, because it don't happen for us, when stuff happened to us, it kind of seemed like they think we lying. But you got a Black man messing with women that just ain't Black. So anything they say, it probably would go. So who knows? He may be found not guilty because, again, Cassie was booking. She was paying him. Actually, she was the only one paying him. But will they find him not guilty of the Cassie stuff? But let me tell y'all this. I will tell y'all this. When the jury asks for the transcripts from that specific testimony, one thing that the judge did send along as well, the judge also sent along a post that Cassie posted right after that hotel video dropped. And do y'all know what she said? She said in her post that, y'all, it's only domestic violence. So we don't know what the jury is going to decide on that, because now, Cassie is saying she was trafficked, right? But then when it was released, she said it was only domestic violence. So we don't know what they're going to say. And see, here's another one. Listen, so this is what I was telling y'all. I want them to be found guilty. He killed Tupac, Alicia, Hayden killed. You see, this has nothing to do with the case. And that's what I'm saying. Like, people want Diddy to be locked up for everything but what he's actually on trial for. The man in the room said she tore the room up, throwing stuff at him, and he was in the shower. So that was to his defense. A plus. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Let's see. But wait a minute. Okay, Special K, now refresh my memory, because you said the man in the room. So Cassie said during that hotel video, she was trafficked, right? So was there a man in the room that actually testified? Because I was under the assumption that there was never a person that came forth to say, hey, during that time that Cassie saying she was trying to get out of the room, I was actually there. Who was that? I never thought anybody, came out with regards to that. So I don't know. I don't know if there was actually testimony with regards to that. You really got to be careful out here. You getting flown out for some fun one way, and then later down the road, they are right. Girl, listen, nobody is flying me out nowhere. Listen, I pay for my own stuff. I don't want you to have any expectations when it come to me. I don't want nothing. Don't pay for nothing. No. We don't want nothing. I don't want you to expect nothing. Keep your little dollars, give it to somebody else. Somebody said, what y'all saying? Said, so in the beginning, he was using force, and eventually she was so scared, force was no longer necessary. Gotcha. I don't know. I listen. Well, listen to this though. Do y'all remember the prosecutor said, I don't remember the exact words, but how they kind of described it is, yeah, at some point they wanted to do it. But, that was in the relationship when it was good. But then at some point they didn't want to do it. And that's kind of where they lost me at, because I'm going to need you to say the exact times that you were forced to do it, that you didn't want to do it, instead of coming in here with this blanket statement saying, okay, I did want to do it and I didn't. Now, that's not to say that a person can't say, I want to do it today and I don't want to do it tomorrow. But it kind of makes it hard when you're not narrowing down the times that you said that you didn't want to do it. And as far as Jane Doe is concerned, Jane Doe just got to go. Like I was over her. Right. That's correct. So that's what we talked about earlier. Daniel Phillip was the one said that he heard him, slapping her and he was abusing Cassie. So earlier when they sent a note to the court, they wanted to get the transcripts for that. So that's why I was saying, I feel like they were definitely looking over the SA trafficking for Cassie and the transporting of the S workers for Cassie, because they did not ask for any transcript as it relates to Jane Doe. So I feel like Jane Doe, they was like, oh, not guilty for her. But Cassie, it seemed like they were probably looking a little deeper to see if they, should charge him or what, because we don't really know. So Special K, okay. You said one of the S workers was in the room. She grabbed his jewelry, phones, all his stuff was in the bag. Kim called for him to come home. Who is Kim? Kim called for him to come home. Was angry with him. Kerbo testified about the. So Special K, who was the S worker though? I think I missed that part, because I know Cassie testified that she was trying to leave the hotel. It was during a freak off, but then they were later saying that in all actuality that Cassie was trying to get Diddy's phone. I'm just trying to figure out, maybe I missed it. Did the sex worker testify that they was actually the one in the room? I think I missed that part. When it was in the room, she grabbed his jewelry, phones. All his stuff was in the bag. Oh, Kim Porter called for him to come home and Cassie got mad. Oh, so you're saying Cabral was the one that was in the room. Okay, see, I missed that. Okay, so Special K, you're saying that Cabral was the one in the room. So here's the deal though. If Cabral, and I don't know, so y'all got to put it in the checks. I don't remember. I didn't follow everything about it. So if Cabral testified then that, and y'all put it in the chat because I don't remember, if Cabral testified that he was in the room and that Cassie was mad because of a phone call, then her saying that video where he really shouldn't have been putting his hands on that lady, but we saw it. If there was testimony that was actually not S trafficking, then I don't see how he can be guilty on that. But y'all got to let me know in the chat because I don't remember. Did someone testify to say that? I just don't remember. I didn't follow each and every testimony all day. You said because using Jane's testimony was always to get him off. How so? Because I feel like Jane Doe was an airhead and Jane Doe was the government's witness, but I just think she failed miserably. So Jane just failed miserably. She was actually the government's witness. You said he not on trial for a hotel. Well, he's not on trial for domestic violence. He never got charged with domestic violence, if that's the question. Oh, I believe he is. He evil. I want him to go to jail because I don't want broke men thinking they can do this to us everyday women. Oh my goodness, girl, you are funny. So Trey, he is not being charged for domestic violence, which is, I said this before, he can't be charged with it because it's a statute of limitations is a state charge. So Smart Cookie, why you want this man to go to jail for everything but the crime that he did, girl? That's a mess. Cassie wasn't trying to leave because the security said she never called them. The defense showed the other half of the video where she was saying, I know. So, and you see, you own a special K. You're absolutely right. She wasn't trying to leave because even in the video after he acted a fool, put his hands on her, she was still standing around. That is not somebody that's trying to leave. Now you feel me? That's why I'm like, with this, I mean, I would say not guilty, but I feel like, depending on certain people, because I mean, I watch comments, women is gonna just say he guilty, regardless to what. Like, he guilty. Now he may be guilty, but I don't think they have proved it beyond a reasonable doubt for this case. So if he guilty, they did a horrible job by proving it. They did a horrible job. A horrible, horrible job. Putting us in the justice system does not help us at all. Right. Special K. And then she went back to his house. Right. So it's just like, listen, grown folks can do what they want to do. If you want to be with somebody that abuse you, nobody can stop you. Nobody. I don't know though, y'all, with regards to there's another charge that I'm not really too sure about. And y'all kind of, I don't know, was he? No, he wasn't charged with that. I think that was so the racketeering conspiracy is the one that they are really struggling with. And I believe they want a verdict because, in fact, if he's found guilty on some charges, y'all know they finna file an appeal. So I don't think they want this to linger anymore. Diddy tired of sitting in that damn jail. I'm gonna need these women were participating in the different ways. Yeah, they were definitely participating. I mean, getting $10,000 a month, and Diddy was paying Jane Doe $10,000 a month. Gina was getting $10,000 a month. Whew, these women is a mess. Now he's guilty to me for treating the side pieces like they're the main one. Listen, Special K, they was actually in the court mad about that, talking about this one was being treated better. I'm just like, are y'all serious right now? Right. I hope this is a wake-up call for him. Listen, who knows? Who knows? I don't know if it's gonna be a wake-up call because if y'all remember, they said he was doing a freak off right before he went to jail. So I don't know if it's gonna be a wake-up call. I have no idea. You would think, but I don't know. You would think, but we really can't call it. We don't know if it's going to be a wake-up call. Don't know. Is it going to be a wake-up call? We don't know. We don't know if it's going to be a wake-up call. You would think it's going to be a wake-up call. You would think. You would really think. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But didn't some of the women were upset because they couldn't be? You are absolutely right. They were literally on the stand talking about how he was treating the other woman better. And I'm just like, what? Yes, they were literally, you got Jane Doe talking about how he was running around with this one and how he had took yungmiami out of the country. And I'm just like, this is so freaking childish. Is this for court? Like, why are we up here talking about how Diddy treated another woman better than you? Why is this for the court? Like, this is personal. If he get off today, he will have that baby oil in a hotel tonight with someone who needs their rent paid. Right. Listen, I don't know, y'all. I don't feel like maybe he'll be smarter doing it, but I don't know. I just feel like, he had came to New York knowing he was gonna be arrested, but still was doing it then. So I don't know, y'all. They didn't say she wanted Jay-Z, but he was taken. Well, that's what she meant when she said that. So the question is, Cassie had made a statement pretty much that the reason why she's going to stay with Diddy is because Jay-Z was taken, which is giving very much, girl, you wanted to be with this man for money. Ladies, I keep getting asked if I'm okay with a poly relationship. Trust me, the broke men are getting inspired. Phew. What about HIV and all of that stuff? These people are crazy. Jane, listen, Adrian, Jane Doe is jealous, but I think you forgot the part where Cassie was jealous too. Cassie talked about Kim, how she was, jealous of Kim. This whole shit was weird. This whole thing was absolutely weird. You getting on the stand talking about you jealous of another woman when you know he with Kim, he with you, he with Gina, he with this one. I don't know. Oh, Special Case says Cassie is in Apple, Karambi, and Fitch's case as a recruiter. Okay. Somebody said, I think you may want to relocate to find a better pool of men. Right. Yes, we talked about that my earlier video. Yes, they have Cassie on recorder. She's recorded telling somebody she gonna delete them and talking like a gangster. Talking like a gangster. Yes. And then they had showed the message where, Cassie was calling him nigga. I'm just like, so I don't, this is crazy. He said, Diddy train Cassie. Well, you know what? I don't know how to pronounce your name. Lachey. When I was in high school, I'll never forget being a senior. I talked to grown men and none of them never trained me to do nothing that I didn't want to do. None of them trained me to do anything that I did not want to do. So I feel like when men have a lot of money, women will do more stuff. And I just feel like she did everything she wanted to do because, when she decided she didn't want to do it no more, she was gone. Child, Diddy was doing a next top bottom batch contest, not essay, because that's what is given, right? Not the bottom batch contest, right? Right. It was the guy that recorded the freak off. He had yungmiami talking out the side of her neck, telling Gina she would have her on her knees eating. And here's the deal. I mean, I feel like, it must, for her to say that, something happened, because where are you getting these things from? You said Cassie played chess. Cassie took notes and won the game. Yeah, I feel like Cassie started documenting things because I feel like at some point she probably was going to do exactly what she did, because who takes notes of, when somebody did this or did that. I just feel like, yeah, she was planning to do exactly what she did. But I also feel like if Diddy would have took her more serious, maybe made her the main chick, married her, I feel like we wouldn't even be having this conversation. No, he didn't train Cassie. She was going with, Ryan Lowell, and he was 10 years her senior. Yes, 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 yes. That is true. That is very true. And then hopped on Diddy D when she was already talking to somebody else. And actually, the defense kind of brought all of that up. Y'all want to make Cassie to be so sweet, but Cassie was hopping on D's all throughout the relationship. It's kind of crazy how she came to court and testified how Diddy was cheating. They was doing the same thing. They both were cheating. I asked if racketeering charge is a hung jury, which charges may be convicted of, and it stated, I don't understand what that is. So they found They agreed on all charges but the racketeering charge. That's the only one that they have not found a verdict, which is the RICO. Which was the RICO. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Somebody said this is favor of love. No, he didn't. Oh. Yeah, so they'll be back tomorrow, y'all. I'll be back on tomorrow early though, because I want to know what this verdict is going to be. How is it a RICO when he's the only person on trial? Maybe that's why they didn't find a verdict on that, because we've been saying that the whole time. Exactly. How is it RICO? You know what I'm learning with some states, because they did it in Georgia. We saw them do it with Young Thug. That RICO give you life, child, because you know they want to charge people with RICO because they get to put you in jail and throw away the damn key. But apparently, you know, they are not getting a conviction on that. The RICO charge is the one that carries the most. The RICO charge actually carries life. So they're not really getting a conviction on that. And that's kind of where the jury is pretty much hung. So they kind of got a little update in here, and they're talking about the Allen charge. If y'all remember, the prosecution wanted them to pretty much use the Allen charge as a way to kind of resolve them kind of coming up with a verdict. Now, as the defense and prosecution dismissed their responses to the jury's note saying they reached a verdict on 4 of the 5 counts against Sean Diddy Combs, the prosecution asked for an instruction called an Allen charge. The Allen charge, aka dynamite charge, is given when a jury returns and reveals that they are deadlocked. The judge will encourage the jury to go back and continue deliberations and try to find either, you know, they're going to agree to kind of avoid a mistrial. Now, in this case, it would only pertain to count 1 based on the jurors' notes. This does not require jurors to change their vote or reach a verdict. The defense said it was too early for an Allen charge and suggested more gentle language is used in response to the jury's note. The judge later addressed the defense and prosecution, saying that the government's proposal isn't really an Allen charge, but essentially reiterates the section of the jury instructions regarding the duty to deliberate. When the jury eventually entered the courtroom, the judge did not issue an Allen charge. Instead, he instructed the jury to continue deliberating, saying, "I received your note that you have reached verdicts on count 2 through 5, but not on count 1. So the judge said, "At this time, I ask you to keep deliberating." Now they're going to return tomorrow, and we're going to be back on here tomorrow at 9. Now, somebody was asking about the charges, so that's kind of why I wanted to read and go over that. So what that essentially means is they've actually arrived at a verdict for the trafficking of Cassie, the transportation of Cassie and the workers. They have arrived at a decision or a verdict for Jane Doe, trafficking, and also the transportation of Jane Doe. Now, what they have not arrived at a verdict for is the RICO charge. Okay. So tomorrow, hopefully we'll find out. Maybe they'll have a verdict on the RICO charge, but at this point, they do not have a verdict on the RICO charge, y'all. So we'll get back on here tomorrow. I'll be on here at 9 p.m.
Too hot. Lakeyshakeysha, queen of the plot. Hit that bell, cause the tea don't stop.